What a beautiful room. Everybody is ready to practice yoga on this Sunday, and the sparkly snow outside is so magnificent. So if you have gone outside and connected to that, the email that I sent yesterday has a nice little verse there that helps us kind of sense some more internally for ourselves. So if you haven't taken a look at that email, make sure you do, or read it again. Today we're going to use blocks and blankets, so please find some. If you don't have any right close hand, or if you don't have any blocks, grab some firm pillows, and that will be helpful. I'd like to do some things today that will let us linger in postures, and things that we haven't done in a while if you've done them at all with me. So nothing too fancy, but just fancy enough. This time of year is so important. As you know, we've been exploring in our practices some of the internal aspects of what our practice means, and also what this time of year means. So I always love to lean on our mantra for our practice, because yoga is always trying to bring out in front of us that thing that is always within us, and that is our divinity. So we are looking for that all year round when we practice, and but because it's this time of year, it's really good to focus on what that means. So we're going to come to our seated position. Once you're ready, once you have your props, taking maybe a few clearing breaths. And as you're here, see if the spine can become a little bit more vertical. Make sure you include the neck as you picture the spine. So once you have that physical outline created, then let's fine tune it. So check in and see if the sitting bones are pressed down. And if you start to pull the pelvis in a little bit, you'll be able to connect them more clearly. And begin to feel a bit of a lift in the rib cage. Feel that the shoulders can go a little further back, most likely. You can feel that the chest feels more open as the shoulders go back, sending also the shoulders down. You can draw the chin in slightly to stack the neck if you haven't already noticed that maybe the neck was a little too far forward in comparison to the spine. Relax the jaw. Relax the face. Relax the forehead. Relax the crown of the head. Now just outline the body in your mind, and find that as you take the attention, maybe start from the crown of the head and outline out towards the sides of the head, down towards the sides of the neck, the shoulders, outlining down towards the arms. Feel as you go through that those spaces become more and more relaxed. So that you send the attention down through the legs, just creating this outer outline. And then what you'll do is go and see how can you creatively outline maybe the inner legs, work your way up, and just travel around the body with your mind's eye. And let these spaces relax, even if you feel that there is some tension lingering in the body. Even if you feel some stiffness, let the mind do its work here to facilitate the release of that tension, the opening up in your mind and heart to being more relaxed. Eventually take the attention to the heart center, and here we'll allow a sense of light to flood this space. Maybe it sparkles. Maybe it reminds you of some symbols. The lights that we put around our structures this time of year. So many different traditions. And just letting that sparkle within the heart center. And then we'll shift into Ujjayi Pranayama, holding also the attention in this center, this heart center, taking a big breath in through the nose. Open the mouth, fogging out. Mouth stays open, fogging in. Closing the mouth, exhaling through the nostrils. In our practice, this idea of leaning into our mantra, we want to let the physical body lean into our breath. So really focusing on building this breath, giving your effort to it. Always remember that the breath comes before the posture. So I'll recite to you the meaning of our mantra, Shiva mantra, and then we'll chant. Holding the meaning in your heart. I bow to the presence of the divine within, our true and highest teacher, that lives in and around us as being, consciousness, and bliss. It is ever present and radiates peace, lighting the way to transformation. We'll start with a long Om. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Satchidananda Murtaye Nishprapanchaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Just bow physically. And now we'll start to move the physical body. So we're going to start by taking the left leg forward and bringing the right foot to the inside of the left thigh. Typically we come into this posture a little later into our practice when the body is warm. We're just going to sit up tall and bring the hands down next to the hips. And then begin to flex and point this left foot. And see if you can maybe take the shoulders back. Just flexing and pointing the left foot. And then we'll start to create more movement. So we'll start to circle the foot. Take any other movement that just feels right, as always, always honoring the sense that, turning left or turning right or lifting, whatever it is, sensing what the body could do next, responding to tightness or any sense that maybe, oh, I can get a deeper stretch here, then following through with that and just letting it be. So we're going to keep the foot flexed at this time. And then we'll just take the hands. Before we do, let's notice if it's hard to release the hands and keep the spine tall, we're going to bend the knees and keep the foot flexed, the left knee, excuse me. So if maybe you're even feeling a little tight right now because we haven't done much with the body, we're just going to keep the knee bent and then start to walk the hands forward. And then we'll start to let go into this. So maybe hands barely go forward, maybe they go far beyond the foot. Either way, we'll just start to let the head go and begin to deactivate in the upper body. Now maybe you feel swaying feels good here, or shaking the head out. Maybe some clearing breaths, releasing out through the mouth. Remembering always to focus on the evenness of that breath. And as you're in the evenness of the breath, so that your inhalation and exhalation are matching in their depth and their length, then you can keep internally a deep sense of calm. Right? Even if you can sense that the body is uncomfortable, mentally, the calm is still there, completely collected. So we'll just take about 3 more deep breaths here. Noticing if the movement, the stretching action is starting to move into other regions of the body. Or working a little better in the back of the left leg. And we're going to start to rise. So let's just see for a moment where your right knee is. And we're going to just take note of it. If your knee has come all the way to the floor, you're good. If your knee was risen and it was difficult to get forward because your knee was up, you would bring a block underneath your knee. And we're going to come back into this. So we pulled out for a moment. And we're going to draw back in. So maybe this time you can straighten the left leg a little bit more. Maybe this time you have the support under the right knee. And now we're going to start to walk the hands forward. And then begin to collapse again. Now we'll be here for about 5 more deep breaths. So just noticing if any adjustment you made help. If you want to bring block underneath the forehead because the head is low enough, you can do this as well. But let this be a supported variation. And let the shoulders round, let the head be released. Normally I say keep the spine straight in this position, but this one has a different feeling. So one more breath. And we'll start to rise, walking the hands in. Now let's take the right leg forward. And we'll just take a moment to compare. So we can have both legs extended forward, the hands down, next to the hips for some support, and just begin to move both of the feet and assess, what is this left leg like? What is this right leg like? You can bend, you can go forward, and hopefully you can clearly see the results between the work we did on the left leg and the work we did not do on the right leg. And then we're going to even out. So we'll take the left foot to the right thigh. Now, if you notice that the block really helped you, then you could just feel free to take that block there for the first portion where we held this for a little bit. But this leg might be tight, so we're going to bend the knee. Actually, we need to work on the foot, so we're going to flex and point the foot with the hands behind. And then we'll start to move the foot in circles. Still fully concentrated on the breath, even though the body is also part of our concentration. Okay, so then we'll go ahead and flex the foot. And then see, maybe about hinging forward or walking forward with the leg straight, or maybe you're going to bend it, and then see if you can release into this. There's no sense in forcing the body to go into a position that it's not ready for. That would only create harm if we take it too far. So we'll let ourselves release little by little, every exhalation. And really sensing the change in the back of the leg. Sometimes I will look at the clock and time us as we go. And sometimes I won't, and I'll use the body as a timer. So if you use your body as a timer, it means you have to pay very close attention to what it feels like at a specific point. And then you try to capture the point that you reached on the left side. So, notice where you are. I'd say we're about close, but probably can release a little bit more. So at this point, probably noticing that the stretching sensation has traveled into other parts of the body. Now we're going to start to rise. Walk the hands in. And this time, really see what can you do with the block if you haven't already used it on the side. And so we'll just sit up nice and tall first. Maybe we can straighten the leg. Begin to walk the hands forward again and fold right back in. Even if the knee can reach that floor, when you support the knee in a different position, you might notice that it gets the body into a realm that it wasn't in before. It helps maybe the low back a bit more. Maybe it helps get the heart forward a little bit more. So let yourself be creative. Never think of the blocks as aiding our shortcomings. It's not that at all. It's just aiding us, and that's all it is to it. That's all there is to it. So let's release, and we're going to take, I think here, about probably 5 deep breaths. Now we've gone a little over those 5 breaths. I think we're about there though. So in a moment we'll start to rise, and we're going to assess the 2 legs. Bringing the left leg forward. Of course, the low back is going to feel lots of sensation based on what we just did. And we're going to take care of that in a moment. But with the hands behind for support, begin to move the legs. And let's just see if you feel the left leg and the right leg, do they feel about the same, or does one feel a little bit more open than the other? So I'm just going to encourage you for now to, if you feel like it's balanced, you can come down to the back, bring the knees to the chest, and rock a little side to side. If you feel like one is a little tighter than the other, then balance it out. And it might only need a few breaths. It might need, you know, just a quick moment, a second or two. But just give yourself that opportunity to, we'll say, set the timers equally between the left and the right leg. It could be that we held one for less time than the other. It could be that one leg was tighter than the other. Whatever it is, it's good to look for the balance. And then we're going to start to rise. This is a very nice, slow start, long held posture to this practice today. Now we're going to come to our backs once you're ready. And we're going to have a blanket on the mat, towards the front of the mat. Make sure the blocks are in arm's reach as well. A couple of deep back bends here to counter what we've just done. So once you are on the back, bring the knees into the chest, and then we'll rock a little bit side to side. And just holding the legs with the hands, maybe circling the knees. Now start to let the head move around with the rest of the body. So maybe it goes in the same direction as the knees, and you start to feel like you're gonna roll over to one side, and you can get all the way there. Or maybe the head moves in opposite direction of the knees. So we're going to come into bridge posture. We're going to have a few variations, and having stretched it, we're going to activate it. We'll probably stretch it again. This is going to help release some stuck tension there. Now the first thing we're going to do is bring the feet to the blanket at the top of the mat, which we've placed there. And this is a good technique for people who have a hard time with the knees when we're saying let's keep the knees towards each other. So we just want to experience what this is like. So at this time, start to bring the feet down onto that if they're not already there. Bring the hands down alongside the body. Walk the shoulders back a little bit towards each other. And then we'll pull the pelvis in and lift the hips upwards. So it's okay if you don't have the blanket, but you know, either way, let's just see. Lift the hips up. And then maybe this is good right here. Or maybe you want to go a little further and interlace the fingers under the hips, straighten the arms, and use the glutes to lift up. Make sure not to bring the chin down towards the chest. You want a little bit of air between the chest and the chin. Another deep breath. Release the arms. Exhale, lower the hips down. Just rest the low back for a moment. Now we're going to go a little further to get the hips up even higher. So if you don't have blocks, you can keep the feet right on the blanket. If you do have blocks, 2 blocks or 2 books, we're going to be bringing the feet right to the blocks this time. So you'll set up your blocks. I'll give you a moment if you're working on that. So just finding that position again. And once you are there, once you're on the back and you have feet on Feels weird to say put your feet on books, so I'm just going to stick to blocks. Then we're going to bring the shoulders back again. And we want the feet hips distance apart. We want the feet as close to the bottom as we can get them. And then, let's see, when you're ready, begin to lift the hips up. So pull the pelvis in, lift the hips upwards, and then walk the shoulders back towards each other again. Now you have options always here. If you have tight shoulders, should have mentioned this before, but elbows down, forearms lifted, fingertips skyward, right? And then we can root down into the elbows to lift. Or you've got straight arms, and you're rooting down into the arms. And now we have the hips higher. We're still working with the glutes, still working with the low back. Now we're drawing the knees in towards each other without really moving them much, right? Unless they were really open, we don't want to get lazy in the inner thighs. We'll just keep knees, hips distance apart. About 2 more deep breaths. And release the arms, release the hips. You can move the blocks over. That's good for now. We're going to take a little bit of a twist, arms to a T, knees in towards the chest, and then draw the knees over to one side. Turn the head away from the knees. Let's take 3 deep breaths. It's a little harder to take deep breaths when we're twisted like this. There's less room for the lungs. But do your best, and then with every exhalation, feel that the knees can drop a little bit more. And we'll bring the knees to center. We'll set the feet down, just lift the hips so we can realign there, bring the knees back in, and drop them over to the other side. Keep both shoulder blades down. Turn the head away. Deep breaths. Every exhalation, feel that the legs can relax a little bit more. The knees can drop. The twisting of the spine is working. And the knees are over towards one side. We're just going to bring both of the arms towards that side at this time and just rest on the side for a moment before we become more active with the body. And then we'll come up to hands and knees. So press your way up. And we will come back towards the front of the mat. We'll find the wrists under the shoulders, the knees under the hips. Once you get here, you're going to get here in your own time, but once you get here, start to move through cat-cow. Now we've done some work here, so hopefully you're going to feel some freedom in the low back. But you might feel less freedom in the other parts of the back because we can compare the open space to the less open space. So inhaling, belly sinking, the heart lifting, the head lifting. Exhale, belly drawing up, the heart sending down, the head sending down. Moving through a few more of these, every exhalation, really pulling the belly up into the spine. So especially on that final exhale, right at the bottom, pull and then relax. Just a few more. And then we'll come to a neutral spine and then come to standing on the knees. So if you have a hard floor underneath your mat and this is too sensitive for your knees, bring a blanket underneath. Once you've found your way up to standing on the knees, we'll have the hands to the hips. And we'll just pause here as we kind of wait for each other in our own time. We'll just take a few pelvic tilts here, so a little bit more work. So relaxing the pelvis, taking the bottom back, and then engaging the pelvis, pulling it in. So the pelvic bone is looking forward. And so then we'll continue. So tailbone going back, pelvic bone looking forward. Inhaling. Same idea as our cat-cow. Exhaling, pulling in. Really pull the belly. Hopefully feeling nice and loose. Now we're going to keep the belly engaged to protect the low back. So, keep the pelvis pulled in, the belly engaged. Right? So now pelvic bone looking forward. You feel the glutes are engaged. You feel the belly is engaged. Begin to take the hands back towards the sacrum. Stay concentrated in the low part of the body so that this stays active. And then begin to lift the heart upwards. So this is our first variation of camel posture. Right? Taking the elbows back, opening the shoulders, the front of the shoulders, opening the chest. If you have any neck issues or back issues, this is the furthest you're going to go once we get further in. Couple deep breaths. Keeping low body engaged. Now bring the heart back to center, the head to center. Lower the hips down to the heels, release the arms, and let's come into child's posture for about 5 breaths. So you might need to separate the knees from each other. You might need to bring hands underneath the head if the forehead doesn't find mat comfortably. Balasana, child's posture. 2 more breaths. You are going to rise back up to table posture. Place the knees under the hips. Rise back up to standing on the knees. Hands to hips. Let's pull the pelvis in. We're going to go for another round. So lots of back bends today. Take the hands back towards the sacrum again. Pull the pelvis in, activate the glutes, and begin to send the heart up. One more breath. And then reversing out of this so the heart rises before the head. Now, to counter what we just did and to add to it, we're going to take the right foot forward. And then begin to heel toe the right foot forward until the back knee is far behind the left hip and the right knee is over the right ankle. Now, let's just let ourselves sink into this for a moment. We may need blankets or blocks close by for our lowering of the trunk in a moment, but let's be here for a moment. Now, maybe you also lift the heart and maybe send the head back a little bit as you look upwards. Sink into the right knee. Maybe a nice clearing breath as we open the left hip flexors. Very important for us to keep blood flowing. be below the hips. Now we're going to start to lower the trunk, bringing the hands to the inside of the right foot. So this right foot might need to move over to the right. So we can take it further towards the right edge of the mat. And then maybe we can let the head go, let it just hang loose. Maybe we bend the elbows, and that might be good. Maybe we're able to let go a little bit more and bring forearms to blankets, blocks, maybe the mat. And once you have the body outlined in this position, then we can focus on fine-tuning it. And of course, the breath, being a part of the body, is going to help us immensely. So again, every exhalation, releasing tension, letting go to whatever your end point is without any judgment as to what that is. Knowing that when we are relaxed, we are really much better versions of ourselves in that calm state. We can generate peace. We can express love. So allowing yourself to sink into this, maybe for 5 more deep breaths. We're going to start to pull away from the posture. So bringing the hands down, straightening the arms. We can roll over the back toes and then bring that left knee further forward. Take the right foot behind. And let's rest in child's posture for a moment. So knees might separate again. Lower the hips down. And look to the left leg, the right leg. Sense the imbalance. Clear a breath. And then we will begin on the other side. So we're going to rise up to table. Standing right on the knees again. Hands to hips. Step the left foot forward. And then heel toe that left foot forward so that we can have right knee behind the right hip and the left knee over the left ankle again. Now we'll start by lifting the heart, maybe taking the head back and looking upwards. Sinking into the left knee. And now we'll start to release down. So bringing the hands to the inside of the left foot. And then again, maybe heel toeing that left foot to the left to give the trunk more space, because we don't want to take the trunk over to the right. We want to keep it centered. And then releasing down when you're ready. So maybe that's bending of the elbows. Maybe that's something else. Whatever it is, let yourself be creative. Let yourself be open to the next response that you'll offer the body as you continue to shape this position. It's a changing position. Probably about 3 more deep breaths. And my timer is telling me 2 more deep breaths. So check and see if your timer is different than mine. Okay. Then we'll start to come out of this with the hands down. Roll over the back toes to bring that right knee forward. Send the left knee behind. We'll come into child's posture. Lowering down. And hopefully sensing balance between the two sides. Lots of sensation. Take a clearing breath in through the nose. Exhaling out through the mouth. And so we've kind of worked our way from the feet to the legs, kind of a little bit up into the upper back and the chest. And now we're going to focus a little bit more in that space. So let's rise up to table. And then we'll come back to, let's rise back up to our knees, hands to the knees. Send the right foot forward again. Heel toe that foot forward or send the left knee back. And we're going to take another back bend here. So we have a lot going on with the low body. Let's add the other side. So let's keep the left hand towards the sacrum and send the right arm up and behind. Sinking into the right knee. We're going to turn this into an extended side angle posture. So we're finally going to come up to our feet. So from here, bring the right forearm to the right thigh. So it's a different way to get there. We're going to roll over the left toes and use the strength of the leg to lift the left knee. So press into the foot, lift the left knee, and then turn the left toes to face the left side of the mat. So we still have the left hand to the left hip. So it is a strong way to come to this. Now we have right forearm or right elbow to the right thigh. Take the left arm, reach it up and over the left ear. So envisioning the outline from the ankle to the wrist, from the left heel to the fingertips. A really nice, straight, strong line. And then we can maybe start to turn to look up past the left hand. Just turning the head. From here, we're going to wrap the left arm around the low back. And then press into the right heel to lift the trunk to a center position. Okay, then we'll take the right arm up and over towards the left, coming into a peaceful warrior, sinking into the right knee. Two more breaths. Now from here, let's exhale, windmill the hands down. So we'll take the right hand down next to the right foot, then the left hand down next to the right foot. Adjust, maybe bring the left knee down, send the right foot behind. Now we're going to increase our energy a little bit and strengthen the arms. Want some activity here. So we're going to take, let's say, as many push-ups as you can. I'll take note of the time. Maybe we'll say 30 seconds. So if it's 2 push-ups, that's fine. If it's 10, that's great, whatever. But if you need support for the knees, remember knees go behind the hips. Keep the elbows over the wrists. Keep the pelvis pulled in. And then as you exhale, lower and hover. And then inhale, press up. So we're beginning 30 seconds. If you have to rest between, it's all good. Almost there. Okay, we're there. So let's go ahead and lower the hips down and come back into a child posture. Let's pay attention to the breath. Notice if you were still able to maintain it. And if not, no worries, just begin again. Clear the breath if needed, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Okay, so we're going to start to rise up now. We come to standing on the knees once again, hands to the hips. We had right foot forward before, now we're going to take left foot forward. I think I'm going to change directions here, but you'll stay as you are. So left foot comes forward, heel toe, the left foot forward, find that position. Again with the legs as we've been taking over and over. Now this time we are going to send, let's say, the right arm up, right? So we'll take that right arm up and over. If the neck starts to get bothered, you can keep the head at a neutral position. Sometimes I mix up which arm I took up because there's 2 postures and there's a variance. So if you know, you're going to take that one. I start to feel like maybe it was the other way. I think it was the other way. The right hand, because my arm felt uneven. So right hand to right hip, left arm up and over. One more deep breath. So again, we're changing this now into extended side angle posture. Bring the left forearm to the left thigh. Roll over the back toes. Right hand stays right to the hip. Then we'll go ahead and lift the back knee and then pivot the right toes to face the side of the mat. So now we're set up properly. Good thing we switched the arms. We have the left hand or left elbow resting. Now to take that right arm, we can take it in the same direction as the right leg. And now we'll start to take it so that it's following the right leg. Take that right arm up and over. Feeling from the heel to the wrist, a strong line of energy. From the ankle to the fingertips, or heel to the fingertips, whatever it is. Use the mind to help you direct energy. Then maybe take the gaze upwards past the right hand. Make sure the left knee doesn't cave inwardly. We're going to find a peaceful warrior, so we'll wrap the right arm around the low back, press into the left heel, and then bring the trunk up. Send that left arm up and over. The left leg is bent. Sink in, we'll say one more deep breath. Left leg bent, right leg straight. Now we'll windmill the hands down around the left foot. You might come to the right knee, take the left foot back. And then once again, 30 seconds. Yeah, we'll stick. So should I increase now? We'll stick to 30 seconds of push-ups. So our yogi push-ups, remembering that the ankles stay over, the elbows stay over the wrists as we are lowering. So let's take a deep breath in and out. And then on the next exhalation, when you're ready, begin to bend the elbows, lower, inhale, rise. And we've arrived. So push your way to child's posture and then lower the hips, lower the head. Three deep breaths. And we're going to rise up to table. Now let's come into downward facing dog. So take hands forward a step, roll over toes, lift the knees. Maybe find some movement in the hips, especially after what we've done today. If you take one heel and pivot it towards the other foot, you're going to get into the low back and into the waist. And just alternate. It goes actually all the way up towards the arms. We're going to be in downward facing dog for about 5 more deep breaths. So maybe you keep the knees bent and keep pressing away from the hands. If you can get heels down with the legs straight, but that rounds the tailbone, it feels like the low back starts to round, then you've got to keep those heels up. Keep the tailbone shifting upwards. Okay, let's look forward. And when you're ready, float the feet forward to the top of the mat, right into forward fold. Your feet hips distance apart. Lower the head. Notice where you're at. And then we'll start to come up halfway, lengthen the spine. You could take the arms outwards. Exhale, fold, release down. Inhale, halfway up, and then rise all the way up to standing. With that straight back, take the arms up, and then we'll bring palms together, thumbs in towards the heart center. I'd like to do a couple things here before we come back to lying down. So let's bring feet hips distance apart and take hands, not hips distance, to the edges of the mat. And then we're going to take hands behind tailbone. Interlace fingers, squeeze the shoulders back, look upwards. Exhale, fold forward. Just about 3 breaths. Maybe as you descend, you could sense crackling sounds. I do almost every time. Let the head go. And start to rise. Okay, release the arms. You've got feet wider than hips distance right now. So we're going to take the arms upwards and find an angle posture. Bring one hand, we'll say, whatever, it doesn't matter. One hand down the leg, the other arm up and over. See how far to the side you can go without really collapsing into the waist. You still want to feel length in both sides of the waist. And then we'll inhale, come to center, exhaling other side. And we'll inhale, come to center. We've got the arms reaching upwards. Let's exhale, palms together. Draw the hands in towards the heart center. Step feet, hips distance apart. So you have an option to, we're going to take eagle arms, but you have an option to incorporate legs or not. So you can stay standing with arms, or you can balance and stand with the arms. So first, let's set up, we'll set up the arms. Take the arms upwards, and then exhale. Let's take the left elbow forward away from the chest and the right elbow on top of the left, right? Then maybe this is possible, maybe it's not. We're just going to go as far towards elbows as we can. Maybe we wrap the forearms around each other and find palms towards each other, or just tops of the hands. So it's okay if you can't get it all the way, just do your best. Send the elbows forward and upward. So feeling the back of the shoulders stretch. Now, if you're not going to balance, this is just a great spot to stay and push the hands into each other. And you might do that and then just kind of relax them and push them in. If you're going to go into eagle fully, then you'll shift weight over to the left leg. You'll put a soft bend into the left leg. Take the right knee on top of the left knee, and maybe let that right foot stay free. You might spread the right toes, or you might be able to hook the right toes behind the left calf. And remembering, if you're focused on the arms, you can even just lift a leg or put a foot on top of opposite thigh into single-legged chair. Just be creative. Say another breath or so. And then we'll come out of this. So if you were balancing, find both feet down. Now unwinding the arms, just open and close the arms a few times. And then actually, let's step the feet apart further than hips distance, so maybe to the edges of the mat again. Take the hands behind, interlace the fingers, squeeze the shoulders back, look up, and then exhale, fold forward. 3 deep breaths. So working in the upper region here, where we're opening the chest, and then kind of closing it and working on the back of the shoulders. And then again, right? So we're going to rise and do the other side with our arms. So once you've come up, bring the feet hips distance apart. Take the arms upwards. This time that right elbow will be more forward than the left. The left is closer to the chest. Wrap the arms around each other. And again, maybe focus here, sending elbows forward and up, and then pushing hands into each other off and on. Or you'll bend that right leg and place left knee on top of right knee, or ankle on top of thigh. Maybe hook the toes behind the calf. One more breath. Bring the feet down. Unwind the arms. Give them a little bit of swinging motion. And then we'll separate the feet apart. Once again, hands behind. If you want, you could separate feet even wider. Whatever feels good. Hands behind, fingers interlaced. Squeeze the shoulders back. This is the final one here for this little sequence. And we'll exhale, lower. And release the arms down. Just hang loose for a moment. Let those shoulders relax. Let the neck relax. And then find your way all the way up. You might unroll the spine. And then once the head rises, we'll step the feet, hips apart. We're going to take a posture that builds on our first posture, and then we'll be much closer to resting today. So you're going to need blocks, most likely. I'd say yes, no matter what, because we have an option for very tight calves and hamstrings, and then ones that might be a little bit more open. So you're going to place a block in front. Well, I'll try the first one, or something to elevate. Now we have to step on it again. So we're going to bring the right foot to the block. So about the ball of the foot is there, the toes are up. The left foot is behind. Now we're just going to need to probably adjust a little bit, maybe scooch the left foot back. So basically we have a supported flexed foot. Then from here we're going to start hinging forward. So hopefully we're all there. Now we're going to just begin to keep the back straight and just bring the heart closer towards the right foot. And this might be plenty for you. Now, there are some options from here. So you can stay right here and just focus on breath. Or if you'd like a little support, you can bring another block on top of this lower block and bring hands right to this top block. Now, at some point, if you have support, if you're able to go lower, you might be able to let go even more. You might not need the block and you can keep the foot flexed, but then have both blocks down so that the hands can be supported. You might be able to sink lower. Let's take 2 more deep breaths. And start to reverse out of this. So if you'd like, you can plant the foot, come up halfway, return with the flat back hands to the hips, and then we're going to switch legs. So go ahead and release the right foot, set up the block again if you moved it, so we can get a little deeper into the space we've already worked on. Then we'll take left foot forward, let it rest there. Hands to hips. Whenever you're ready, begin to hinge. And again, make any adjustments needed to get you to your end point. Manageable, but plenty of sensation. The force of the breath supporting you. Pay attention to your timer, notice where it's at. Okay, so I feel like it's time to rise, so notice if it is for you. And then start to reverse out of this carefully. Hands to hips, rising with the flat back, and then releasing. We're going to be meeting and seated with the ankles crossed, sitting up tall. And then right from here, let's work with the neck. So we're kind of moving up a little bit now till we come to resting here. So we'll bring chin down and in towards the neck. And then bring the chin upwards. Bring the chin to center. Turn the head to the left. Turn the head to the right. Bring the head to center. Take one ear up towards the sky. And then let's bring the hands in towards the upper thighs and maybe fold the hands into each other. Roll the shoulder that the ear is moving away from. And then settle it down. Take a deep clearing breath. And we'll bring the head to center. Okay, give the head a little bit of motion. And then tilt the other way or lift the other ear skyward. Move the shoulder that it's moving away from. Give it some circular motion or forward, back, or up or down, whatever feels good. And then we'll settle the shoulder down. Clear some breath out through the mouth, releasing tension. And then we'll bring the head to center. Give some motion here, so maybe some tilting, some left-right motion, some up-down motion, some circular. Now we're going to rest. There's always 100 more things I'd like to do, but we're not going to. And before we rest, though, we're going to take the hands and create some friction, rub them against each other, get some heat going into the palms. As you're here, start to relax the eyes, relax the jaw. And then we'll rest the palms on the eyes and feel the darkness and the heat, warmth. Let the eyes relax. Now let's take the fingers and just start to press onto the right above the forehead, right? We're right at the, maybe the space that the scalp meets the forehead or just past it. And just put some pressure here. Take a deep breath. Now take the thumbs to the temples and put some pressure into the temples as you continue to press into the higher part of the head. And now just start to walk the fingers back a little bit. You can keep thumbs on temples, so going through a little bit of a scalp massage, working your way to the crown of the head. Working your way towards the back of the head. So you might continue to do thumbs to temples and index fingers to the occipital grooves, the base of the skull. You might make your way around the ears, maybe moving the thumbs. And do anything else here with the scalp that feels right to you. And then we'll let the hands go. Okay, before we rest, we'll bring the hands to the chest. Both of the hands to the chest, maybe one on top of the other. Hold your attention here. Letting this region to be filled with that light, maybe sparkling, shimmering, glimmering, whatever words you want to bring to it, whatever vision you want to send there. And then we'll take a deep breath in, clear out through the mouth. And now it's time to rest. So come down to the back. If there's anything else that you feel you'd like to take before you rest, feel free. If you'd like to set up a blanket on top of you or a pillow underneath, feel free. The activity that you've gone through has nourished your body. Give yourself this time to notice that the body has been nourished, that circulation has been improved, that strength has also taken place. You have strength in the body. And again, with this activity, you've also strengthened the breath, so that what comes in and out through the breath can circulate more clearly through the blood. So working with many modes of our physical world to nourish this body. So sensing that you have taken such good care of this body. But then now also turning to the mind and noticing how well taken care of the mind was in this period of time. Notice that it is relaxed. It had less things to focus on than usual. That way it was able to stay concentrated on the breath, concentrated on parts of the body, finding outlines and refining them. And notice how the heart was also affected by your effort. The emotions calmer. Maybe feeling that you were able to feel wrapped in love yourself. Some general feeling of love and peace and calm has engulfed your whole being. And let's just surrender to that peace that we cultivated, surrendering completely to it so that your entire being is filled with love and peace and sparkling divinity, shining all throughout your entire being. Glowing and resting in the glow. Let your awareness center on the breath at this time, just watching it flow in and out effortlessly. Now, as you start to deepen the breath, let that glimmer, that shimmering light, the sparkles fill all through the physical body so that you can sense it now moving down the legs to the feet and the toes and out through the arms and the palms and the fingertips and up through the neck and throughout the head, the brain, the ears, the eyes, the lips. And before you move the body, let's allow ourselves to let this sparkling light animate the body. Let that divinity move your hands today and your arms, your legs and your feet. Let that divinity animate your vocal cords and your mouth, and everything that you speak can come from this divine nature. Let the brain be animated so that everything that you're thinking can be inspired by that divine nature. Just a matter of us allowing that divinity to guide us. So when you're ready now, start to move the fingers and the toes, the hands and the feet. Maybe the legs and the arms. And maybe you're hugging the knees. You might roll over to one side and rest there. And then when you're ready, slowly rising up to seated. Even though you still feel like you're kind of in that Shavasana state, that's the point, is, let ourselves rise. Let ourselves still be in that space where we feel that we are just flowing. We can be active and yet relaxed at the same time. So when you found yourself up to seated, we're going to be sealing our practice with mangala mantra. If you know it, you can chant with me. If you don't, we're going to even if we're chanting, we're going to allow ourselves to take the peace and love and all of the shiny matter that we have invoked within us, we're going to be sending it outwardly so that we're looking to help others, to bring peace and love to the lives of others, that they may feel relief from their suffering, that they may find happiness and peace, that we may all be guided properly and justly. And so sending that love and peace outwardly. And joining me afterwards in Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, and then Om Shanti. Svasti Prajabhya Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahi Mahisha Go Brahmanebhyah Shubhamastu Nityam loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. I honor the light in you. That is the same light in me. Namaste.